clerk please call the roll?
Winters,
Here.
Eckhart,
Here.
Hamilton, here, Stelling,
Here.
Benson,
Here.
Sherman,
Here.
Hannaford, Wallace.
Here.
Item 4, discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at City Council meetings will be approved by one vote of the Council. Any member of the Council desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 19, 2017. And B, approval of claims in the amount of $174,035.88 and payroll expenses of $295,579.13. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve this consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Mr. Winters to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Sherman,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Benson,
Yes.
Eckhart,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Stelling.
Yes.
Item 6, reports from boards and officers. Item A is the Alva Public Library Board meeting on June 20th, 2017. Mr. Eckhart, you have a report to share with us today?
Yes, fairly routine meeting. Had a few things that we went over. They have hired an administrative assistant, Angela Harper, to that position. Started a couple weeks ago. They tied out their summer library reading program last week. Had pretty good attendance. I went there a couple times, saw my daughter there. A bunch of kids there. They did purchase a new laptop. It's something that they take with them for travel, catalog purposes, things that need to purchase up with state funding. If you guys go by the library, they had a youth leadership community service project, and they resodded all of the library out in front of it. That's a service project. It looks really nice. It's getting all kind of built up there. They discussed Pack the Park a little bit and had some events down there during the Pack the Park celebration that we had going on here in community. And then the bulk of the meeting ended up being a discussion of the library policies. They are looking at updating and amending library policies to be more in line with what today's children are doing, what's going on, etc., especially in regards with younger kids and being left at the library and having some policies in place to make sure that they're not just dropped off in the morning and left there all day. There's some steps based upon age and things like that. And they're looking at, we looked at one last meeting, we'll look at another one tomorrow at the meeting, just kind of more of a revision and update, and that took up the bulk of the meeting there. That was it.
Does council have any questions for Mr. Eckhart? Thank you, Chris. Item B is the Alva Hospital Authority Board meeting on June 20th, 2017. Dr. Hannaford is absent this evening, but you do have your agenda in front of you from the meeting, and I was in attendance if anybody has any questions. All right, we'll move on to the Tourism Tax Board meeting on June 21st, 2017. Mr. Benson.
Okay, we had our meeting, and we had quite a few things on the agenda, and almost all those were approved, but some of them were approved at a reduced rate with what they were asking for. One big item that we did do, we approved a contract with some marketing firm called Back to You Marketing. They're going to help the Tourism and Convention Committee and us as a council come up with a brand for our city and a slogan, and of course that will probably come back here for approval. And then once we approve all those kind of things, then they'll help us with a marketing plan to market the city of Alva, and not only that, but get us on Facebook page, update any kind of web page we have, and make it so that when, for an example, if you're on Google and Maps or something and you search ATV trail rides Little Sahara pops up. And so we're out there and known and things like that. If you Googled arts, we might come up because we have our arts on the sides of our building, or the Nescatonga Arts Festival, stuff like that, and all that is something we'll be getting from all this. So that was a pretty big ticketed item, but we did approve that. And we also welcomed a new committee member to that committee that's in charge of kind of overseeing that and looking at that, and that's Kelsey Martin. That's my report. If anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer them.
That's the subcommittee?
Yes, that's the
Kelsey Martin.
subcommittee.
I'll just add that back to you, marketing has already been in Alva doing focus groups. I'm not sure who all had the opportunity to participate in that, but I did have an opportunity, and they are already getting to work on developing our messaging strategies and that kind of thing to bring in those outside tax dollars that so often we go out of town to go do stuff, and this is one of those efforts where we're trying to get other people to spend their money from other towns in our town, and they're already off to, I feel like, a good start. Developing their message, looking at what's important to us as Alvans, and really focusing on Alva as a good destination, as a jumping off point for a lot of regional activities that you can do here within 30-45 minutes of Alva. Just a ton of stuff going on. So I was excited to see them getting to work. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Benson? Thank you, Bryce. Item D is the Board of Adjustments meeting from July 10th, 2017. Joe Don, can you give a report on that?
Yeah, so as the agenda and the minutes reflect on this item, there was only one item to consider, and that was a variance in order to increase the lot size coverage to allow for a 30 by 50 garage storage unit for Joshua J. and Kimberly A. Anderson at 701 Noble. There appeared to be some discussion, some questions that the committee had asked the Andersons, and ultimately the variance was denied. And there's no other business.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Dunham? All right. The Alva Airport Commission meeting on July 10th, 2017. We did have elections for chairman and secretary. Dale Logston was elected chairman, and secretary was Terry Turner. They did approve or authorize the airport chairman to sign a landlord consent agreement with the Bank Central for Terry Klein, kind of a standard consent for him to have a note on his hangar on our property so that the airport can make sure and still get rent, or hopefully make sure and still get rent with anyone wherever in default on that, who was responsible for what. Talked about the construction of the turf runway. And at that meeting, which was last Monday, it seemed like work could start as early as the end of this week. I don't know, Joe Don, if anything else is...
I have not heard anything about work starting, but that was kind of the consensus then.
The crop had been harvested, and so the dirt work is approved and ready to begin, so it was waiting on the contractor there. Tabled, or I can't remember what we did on 11. We discussed there's a drainage ditch running between the taxiway and the runway, and discussed having the engineer engaged to provide specifications to repair that. That was anticipated to be in excess of $1,000, and that was tabled there to come back with possibly a more cost-effective solution to that issue. So we'll look at that next month. And then we did approve Garver Engineering to develop legal descriptions for the land and hangar leases, and that was going to be about $2,500.
Not to exceed, yeah.
Approximately, right?
Yeah, not to exceed 25.
Okay. And then they approved the purchase of 50-foot aviation hose and hose reel for the the pump there at the near the terminal. The one that's there is needing repair, and so they're going to replace it. So that was the bulk of the business of the meeting. I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have. Item F is the Alva Arena Authority meeting on July 11th, 2017. I understand Joe Don's has some report for that.
Yeah, you can read the minutes of what happened at the meeting. I will give you an update on some of the activities that I know have gone on. Did have a meeting or a telephone conversation with Lynn of Prefect Complex Designs last week. Project does seem to be moving forward. A lot of my discussion was with Mr. Calvert was locations of water and sewer lines so that they know how to start preparing their site for construction. So it does look like that project is moving forward. I will probably be having a meeting with Mr. Holder and Mike Hood. I'm sorry, his name escaped me for a minute. Mr. Hood, when I get back from vacation in the first part of August.
Does council have any questions for Mr. Dunham? Thank you, Joe Don. Mr. Benson, will you give us a Finance Committee meeting report from earlier this afternoon?
We started about 4:30 and we went over the claims and signed those. Joe Don went over some financial information of 2017 that I'm sure he'll go over some of this, so hope I don't steal too much of his thunder, but our income is still down, and he'll probably elaborate on that. We discussed some more on our rate structure for our utilities, and that's probably going to be coming up in the next, if not in August, probably September, as a recommendation from us to the council here. And I thought I'd just go over some of the large purchases from our expense vouchers, and if you'll look through there, you can see them. That we had spent $10,500 on oil and gas. We spent $27,500 on street supplies for working on our streets. We hauled off trash to the landfill in the amount of $12,200. And our swimming pool broke down and we spent $8,800 with a plumber to get that back open again. And that, I believe, is my report, unless somebody has a question, or Brandon can add something if he'd like.
Does council have any questions for Mr. Benson? Thank you, Bryce. The mayor's report, I would just like to draw attention to the wonderful 4th of July festivities that the City of Alva played a big role in helping the Rotary Club and other volunteers from the community put on what I would say would be pretty hard pressed to find another town like ours doing something quite as impressive. So great job. There were several hundred people that ate the free dinner until they ran out of food, and the pool was packed for quite a little while. The park looked amazing, especially considering that there had been a storm at night, the night before on the 3rd, but the park was in excellent shape, and the pool was in excellent shape, and everything was just great. The whole day went really wonderfully. The weather couldn't have been any better, thank you to all the folks at the city, as well as the citizens that pitched in and helped make sure that was just a great day. Not to mention the $20,000 coming from the tourism committee to make that the finances more possible. I think we would have been in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $10,000 donations, plus the $20,000 from tourism, and so it was a great day. Other good things have been going on. I know that, I hope anyway, I haven't heard, but hope everybody had a good Crazy Days and people shopped local on Saturday. I also know that there was the Boulevard Cruise that went on, so hopefully that was well attended as well. The pictures I saw looked great. I happened to be out of town, so I missed both of them. But anyway, everybody in town, it's people often say there's nothing to do in Alva, and I guarantee you leave town you'll miss something. So I'm going to keep trying to bring up those things that are going on, just so to remind people that there is stuff to do in Alva, and this is a great place to be. So I'm happy to entertain any questions. All right, item I is the city business manager report. Mr. Dunham.
Well, the first thing I'd like to address is the limb cleanup. Our city crews, which have been consisted of, at one point, the street crew, the right-of-way crew, the parks and maintenance crew, and the cemetery crews, have all worked together over the past 2 weeks to make our first pass through and get limbs picked up. As of this morning, everybody was back to their own routine in their separate areas about where they need to be working. As we are evaluating, because there was a two-week time where some places such as the cemetery were being neglected, we're looking at what is it going to take to get those back into shape, whether some crews are going to be re-averted from parks to cemetery for a while to help get that back up, or evaluating that right now. We do expect to have those areas that were neglected for the cleanup back in shape in very short order. We are also, we will continue our limb pickup as routine. We are still working on trying to get our 90-day burn permit from the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality so that we can dispose of these limbs. I would ask that we did have an incident. We are real close to getting that permit, but we did have an incident where somebody went out and took it upon themselves to light the limb pile for us. I will ask people to refrain from doing that. That is not a help. That could actually end up costing us a lot of money. So please let city crews take care of that. We did operate our siren testing on July 5th. All the sirens worked as normal except for one. This siren is located a half a block off of Highway 64 in Ridgeway. This siren will remain out of service until we complete the radio-controlled conversion, which should start in August. The city of Alva the Alva Recreation Department is working on getting some shade structures built around the baseball and the softball pods. Right now we have about $175,000 budgeted. We bid the project out because it was anticipated to be more than $50,000. Phase 1 and Phase 2 of this project, we had two bidders for both the softball as Phase 1, baseball as Phase 2. Construction came in at $285,000 was the low bid. There was a $110,000 difference in what we had budgeted and what the low bid was. So we are searching now for a way to come up with those additional funds. Street work. We have completed the street reconstruction along Noble Street. Just to kind of give you an idea, the material for Noble Street and the Aspen, Ash, and Elm Streets that were resurfaced was about $60,000. Street crew started working on Flynn Street from 3rd to 9th. We anticipate it's going to take about 8 weeks to complete this project. They have already completed the 800 block and finished today the 700 block of Flynn Street. We will be moving down to the 300 block of Flynn and working our way back to the west. Did send out letters. Hopefully everybody got their letter that's going to be affected by this project today. Just to kind of give you an idea of what this is going to cost, the material cost for this project is anticipated to be about $120,000, and that's from 3rd Street to 9th Street. And if you'll recall, back in 2015, we bid this project from 4th to 7th Street out to have the work done, and ultimately declined the bid, but that bid was $396,000.
And how much again did you say estimated?
The estimated cost for materials is going to be $120,000. During the conference I attended at the end of June for OMAG, they were celebrating their 40th birthday. They rolled out 2 new programs. One of them we're enrolled in automatically, starting with July 1. And what they will be doing is setting back 20% of our liability insurance, liability and automobile premium to be paid out in future years as a refund to us if there are no claims against it. So, for example, it starts this year. The first year there'll be any payouts will be June 30 of 2020, 3 years from now. Our premium is annually is $57,989. So OMAG will set $20,000 of that back into a special loss fund. That's $11,598. And then at June 30, 2020, if there were no claims for that period against that money will be refunded back to the city of Alva to use however it sees fit. Another program that they have come up with started July 1, and that's a recognition program. And what they have decided to do, they realize that if governing board members are educated on the operations of government, their claims will be less. So if the governing board members attend either some OMAG prescribed training, either in person or via internet. We have some internet training through OMAG that doesn't cost anything. Adopt, review, or update their governing body handbook, which we already have a governing body handbook that just needs to be updated and reviewed. The governing body would complete and review a stability test. We did that 3 years ago prior to the handbook. So we would need to do that annually every year. And then review our declarations page and explanation of coverage for our insurance to give you some further education about the operations of the municipality. We do this, pass a resolution that says we've completed these tasks. They'll give us $6,000. If the governing board, if you would like to, then I would encourage you to start working toward that. If you'll get with me, I'll tell you how we can get you signed up to the online training. The online trainings are very good. I've been through a few of them. They range in time from 30 minutes to an hour. I've looked at some of the I've been through one of the governing board member trainings that lasted about an hour. It's broken up into segments. Take a little test at the end or during the program, then a test at the end. then you are issued a certificate. Once you've completed, I believe it is 2 of these classes, then that satisfies your training for the year for this program. We'll need to update and review our handbook and set aside some time for that. Put out the stability test and review those answers, and go over our declarations page. Once we've done all that, again, pass the resolution saying that we've done it, and we can collect $6,000.
Those online courses,
Yes,
do you have to do it all at one setting, or can you stop and start and just
you can
say?
start and stop. So if you get interrupted, you can stop it and it'll resume. It'll save your spot, and you can come back to the point you left off at. So please get with me so that we can start that program up. To me, that's a pretty easy $6,000.
Is that something you can send out on our Dropbox or email or something, and we just go after it?
The one thing I've got to check on for you is you may have to have individual logins for the classes.
Okay.
And if that would be the case, you'd have, because you'll
Have to register and all
you'll
that.
have to register and go through all that for the class to get to the classes. And of course, there are other classes that if you attended the training, other things that would qualify for those classes also. We have right now, we approved for us to participate in the upper payment limit supplemental payment program. I met with McAfee and Taft back in June. I felt it was a very productive meeting. Learned there were some additional issues that had come up. I do have an email that I have not reviewed from Ms. Purton of McAfee and Taft that were some updates. They are working on getting our contracts prepared so that we can go to the nursing homes and start getting those negotiations done and that contract signed with those nursing homes. That's coming up. From the little bit of, when I skim the email, that's coming up here, will be coming up here pretty quick in August.
Now, that's the one that we received money from by doing it. Do we
Yes.
have any idea how much yet?
Looks like what we will be getting, and it depends on the nursing homes that we contract with, but we're going to be asking for about $4.50 per Medicare patient day. And depending on the nursing homes, that can range as a group from either $300,000 to $600,000 to maybe $1.2 million. So it really just depends on the nursing homes and what we can get signed up and what we feel like is reasonable for us to sign up. We are working real close with the hospital on that because they are going to be the management of they are going to be managing the program for us and doing the oversight and making reports back to the council. So we're certainly not going to try to get out there and get so many nursing homes that they can't manage them in a timely fashion. Just to kind of let you know, we do have 4 positions that are open, or 3 positions that are open. I think I've got one of them filled. We're looking for a sanitation truck driver. This position does require a minimum of a Class C CDL. We've got full-time and part-time EMT basics and paramedic position open. And I've got a payroll deputy clerk 3 position open. As far as the finances are concerned, at year end, the city of Alva has collected $10,165,000 at the end of 2017. To kind of give you a perspective, at June 30, 2016, we had collected $12,269,000. At June 30, 2015, we collected $15,647,000. So in 2 years, we've had a $5 million decrease in revenues. As far as expenditures are concerned, we've got $11,582,000 worth of expenditures or encumbrances at June 30. Last year, June 30, it was at $13,848,000. And at June 30, 2015, it was at $14,326,000. So we are substantially down in our, we are $3 million down roughly in our expenditures from 2 years ago. If you take out the transfers, you're going to take out about $2 million worth of revenue, which was transferred out, and about $2 million off of the expenditures that was transferred to other funds. And we'll see that, we're still about $2 million expenditures over revenues. The last item I'll talk about is our sales tax. We do have a report here that goes through July 1, or current for sales tax. We collected $315,256 in July for sales tax. That's down from last month at June, which was $324,640. But it is increased from July of last year by 11%. Last year's collections for the month of July was $282,685. That would be the report, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Does the council have any questions for Mr. Dunham?
I think I do. Okay, we're having these wonderful activities, and we're bringing in these food trucks. Do we make money? Does the tourism committee make money off of this, or how are we?
Sales tax.
I know we're doing, which is very little in the long run of it. If they bring their own food into town, how is that increasing? How's that happen, Alva?
Well, one of the food trucks, of course, sells his point of delivery. So if they're going to be charging a sales tax on all of their food, all the food that they sell. If they sell a $5 hamburger, they're going to get $5 plus their sales tax and remit that back to us through the tax commission. Whether or not it helps out tourism would kind of depend on the event. It's more than just the food truck. If the event is an overnight, they would encourage somebody to stay in our motels. Yeah. Then we've got that sales on top. We've got the sales tax on top of that, and
so we just take their word how much they sell.
They have to report that through the tax commission.
But I mean, we take their word then on how much they sell, basically.
The same as I would take anybody's word on how much they sold.
Just thinking about all the years I did in Escatanga, they turned back their papers and they'd say they didn't have any sales, but yet we kind of knew that they did, but you can't argue with them. Is that the same way? I mean, that's going to be about the same way we have to take it.
Yeah, I mean, sales taxes, the enforcement of sales tax is done through the Oklahoma Tax Commission. Yeah. If we were to feel like anybody was not remitting, it would be incumbent upon us to report that to the Oklahoma Tax Commission. That's one of the reasons that we have been working on our new business license ordinance to be able to collect sales tax numbers from people so that I can go back then and say, okay, let's say Joe's food truck came in, but they may not operate under Joe's food truck. It's Sally's
Yeah.
Pastries LLC is their sales tax. I could never put the two together. This way I could ensure that we are collecting the sales tax that we're doing. And if Sally's Pastries LLC doesn't report any sales tax, but yet I know they were here selling food all day long, I can report that to the Oklahoma Tax Commission.
Joe Don, I think also, if I'm not mistaken, and I may have heard wrong, but we'll just air this out in front of the camera. But events at the rec park with the tournaments and whatnot, the rec park also got a percentage of sales, correct?
They did for the rec park, yes, that was our contract. Yes. That's the privilege, the rec park has that built into their contracts so that they get a percentage of sales based on, for the privilege of having the captive audience come out and sell to.
Also, the business ordinance we've got for transient businesses.
Yeah, we do
have
that.
to pay a permit to set up.
Yeah.
They do pay a permit.
They are, once we get it, we're able to put it into action. And,
Yeah.
I mean, but that's how we rewrote it where transient businesses.
Transient businesses would have to pay for that permit where Alva's Market, who's a brick and mortar, wouldn't.
Right. But, I mean, the food trucks don't hurt us, but I think, like Sonic and McDonald's and places here in town, when we bring in all these food trucks, it's hurting businesses in Alva. And that's what I was wondering.
And I would say that when we get the new ordinance in, and any business that's on wheels is considered a transient business. I mean, Vanilla Bean, Geno's, there's 3 of them down on the Bender lot down across from Sonic. It's on wheels, the taco stand up by the hotel. It's on wheels. That can be relocated at any point in time.
Right.
And that would be the standard that we would use to charge for that transient tax or permit.
I'm just shop Alva, buy Alva.
Right.
But when you bring in food trucks, they're bringing in their food. They're not buying anything in Alva.
Well, but it's a phenomenon that hadn't hit our community fully yet, because I think what we have right now is, I think we have a population that would shop food trucks and do shopping, and people are starting to see that as a local business opportunity, and there are local people buying their own food trucks and opening up shops. So I mean, I think ultimately that'll be what we see, and
Right. They're going to have to compete with the ones that come in. Then I have one more question. I was stopped by people that live out by Noble, and I guess they covered all that street, but they left the big manhole, and so now there's a big. Are they going to cover that with anything? That's what the lady asked me.
They've dug out the manholes where basically there's
A big dip.
Well,
kind of a little
we'll have to go back. I will go back and look at it, and no, we won't cover the manhole.
Okay.
I mean, they uncovered them basically, so
Yeah.
whatever there is to asphalt up there. So there's like 4 manholes that have been dug out, so there's a good circle.
Yeah, we won't recover the manholes
Okay.
because,
I will tell her.
because that's how we access sewer.
Sewer, and
Yeah.
that's what she
If
said. She
anything,
just thought
shave the edges to where,
I'll-
they just got,
big holes, big dumps.
well, it's just a square
Yeah.
edge what they
Okay.
did. If anything, taper the edges, and that might help them.
We'll go back and look at that.
I will pass that on. Thank you.
But, the only thing I've neglected to mention in my report that I think I would mention now is that at the last council meeting, you did pass a resolution nominating me for the Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Board. There won't be an election. Evidently, I was the only nominee. And so, so I am the representative for Northwest Oklahoma.
yeah, the way I heard it, everybody heard Joe Don was nominated, and I'm out.
And I will start attending those meetings to get myself up to speed in August. But I won't officially take a seat until October.
Thank you, Joe Don. Are there any other questions from the council? All right, we'll move on to item number 7, is discussion and action to accept the 2017 REAP grant in the amount of $9,771.71 for the purchase of polycarts. Back in December, we approved as a council to submit application. We applied for a $25,000 grant from REAP. We've found out that they're going to award us an amount less than that at $9,771.71. And so the next step in this process, I believe, Joe Don, is that we go ahead and approve.
Vote to accept the
Accept the grant.
Yeah.
For that amount.
That amount.
I move to accept the REAP grant in the amount of $9,771.71.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Benson, a second by Mrs. Hamilton to accept the 2017 REAP grant in the amount of $9,771.71 for the purchase of polycarts. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Benson,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes?
Wallace,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Eckhart,
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
Okay, item 8 is a discussion and action to appoint contract fiscal signatories on the 2017 REAP contract. Joe, I'll go ahead.
Typically, there are 3 signatories for this grant, 3 official signatories. Typically, what we've done in the past has been the mayor, the city treasurer, Trent Goss, and myself, who have been the physical signatories. These would be the people that could sign any of the official documents, any contracts, any financial documents, or anything related back to the grant with the Oklahoma Economic Development Authority. I would recommend that the same people, Mayor Parker, Treasurer Goss, and myself be named as the signatories.
If there aren't any questions, I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to have our mayor, our treasurer, and our city manager be the signatories.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Benson, a second by Mr. Sherman to appoint the mayor, city treasurer, and city business manager as contract/fiscal signatories on the 2017 REAP contract. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Benson,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Eckhart,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Wallace.
Yes.
Item 9 is discussion and action on the appointment of Bryant Gingrich to the Alva Planning Commission for a 3-year term ending June of 2020. Bryant, I'd talked to Jerry Colress, his position on his seat. He was term limiting or coming to the end of his term, and he and I discussed, and he has been in public service either on this body or other bodies and that planning commission for decades now, I would say. And he was willing to continue serving, but as we talked, I told him that Bryant Gingrich and I had been speaking, and Bryant was interested in being more involved in some things, so Jerry said, if you've got new people interested, by all means. So I went ahead and got Bryant's approval, and he is interested and excited to come onto the Planning Commission. And I would ask that this council approve his appointment.
Motion to approve Brian Gingrich appointed to 3-year term on the Alva Planning Commission.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Mr. Winters to appoint Bryant Gingrich to the Alva Planning Commission for a 3-year term ending June 2020. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Sherman?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Eckhart?
Yes.
Benson?
Yes.
Wallace?
Yes.
Stelling?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Item 10 is remarks and inquiries by citizens. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker, and we would ask that the speaker please identify himself or herself. Does anybody have any comment to share with the council this evening? Well, thank you for being here. Item 11 is remarks and inquiries by council members. Council members have anything to share? All right. It's hot in here. Let's keep going. We will close the Alva City Council meeting and open the Alva Utility Authority meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Winters?
Here.
Benson?
Here.
Eckhart?
Here.
Sherman?
Here.
Hamilton?
Here.
Hanford? Stelling?
Here.
Wallace?
Here.
Item 3 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AUA meetings will be approved by one vote of the authority. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of consideration and action on the following items. A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 19, 2017, and B, approval of claims in the amount of $57,495.50 and payroll expenses of $67,382.55. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Winters, a second by Mrs. Hamilton to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Wallace?
Yes.
Stelling?
Yes.
Eckhart?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Benson?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll close the meeting of the Alva Utility Authority and open up the Alva Economic Development Authority meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Winters?
Here.
Eckhart?
Here.
Hamilton?
Here.
Stelling?
Here.
Benson?
Here.
Sherman?
Here.
Hanford? Wallace?
Here.
Item 3 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AEDA meetings will be approved by one vote of the board. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 19th, and B, approval of claims in the amount of $46,073.88 and payroll expenses of $20,284.09. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Benson and a second by Mr. Winters to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Benson?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Stelling?
Yes.
Wallace?
Yes.
Eckhart?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
And we are adjourned. Thank you